Okay. So the first question is, what is your job like, a typical day, and what the responsibilities are?
So I'm in administration. I'm the CEO of an organization. So my job is really more administration, and ensuring the operations of the organization are running smoothly. It includes budget financing, IT, clinical operations. Lately, since COVID-19, I spend all day on Zoom meetings, webinars, team meetings, and conference calls. But a lot of it is really just kind of managing everything at the same time, a lot of multitasking and ensuring everything is running smoothly and being available for crises or any other problems that occur just throughout the day, things that pop
Mhm.
up. Putting out fires, we call them.
Yes. And what is your organization called?
The organization is Starting Point Behavioral Healthcare. We are a community-based mental health and addiction treatment agency located in Nassau County, Florida, which is just north of Jacksonville.
Hmm. Okay. What are the main problems that you deal with on a day-to-day basis?
So our organization focuses again with mental health, people with mental health issues and substance use disorders. We treat all ages. We call it from birth to death. We have children as young as 3 and 4 years old and people in their 70s and 80s. We serve more mental health than we do addictions, and it really is covers the spectrum of people having depression, anxiety, problems coping. We have schizophrenics, severe schizophrenics, people who have been found incompetent to proceed, not guilty by reason of insanity, so that's severe end. To other people who may have marital issues, relationship issues, and then on substance use, it could be a DUI, and up the chain to serious opioid use disorders, and people having overdosed and almost died. So it's really the full spectrum of mental health, and children and adults, ADHD kids, behavior problems, things like that, and teenagers, a lot of court involvement. So really everything we see.
Yeah. Um, why did this job interest you?
So I became interested in getting into the behavioral health field when I was in college. I've always wanted to work in a field where I could help people, and I found the brain to be fascinating and how it works, and because addiction and mental health are brain disorders. And I decided that again, with I've liked science, and I just found that aspect with the brain disorder very interesting. So I pursued that in college, specialized with addiction studies, and I get to work with people, and you make an impact every day, and that's very rewarding. So I love what I do.
Yeah. What was your occupation before you went into the administration side of it?
I had been an addiction counselor. So I started out actually in the schools, working in middle schools and high schools as a prevention counselor, and trying to, get kids to just say no, and educating them about substance use. That was way back when. And so working with the schools in prevention. And then I went into treatment, working again with juvenile kids who got arrested for different things, and then moved into adults crisis, serving all of that, and then I've been in administration for about 20 years now. Yeah.
Next question is, what are the most rewarding and challenging parts of your job?
Well, because I'm in administration, sometimes it's more difficult dealing with employees than it is with clients.
Yeah.
Often I'd say I'd just rather go back and be a therapist. You're dealing with different personalities with people, and trying to manage that and competing demands. So sometimes it is difficult. And we have people from all different age groups here. So you have the boomers, the millennials, the Gen Z, and people have different expectations. As we have younger people on, their work ethics are very different. Their life balance is very different. So it's really managing all of that, like the different personalities and expectations across the board, and trying to not necessarily quote keep people happy, because it's not my job to make you happy. You have to obviously have some self-fulfillment also, but trying to keep morale up, and things like that. That's probably the most challenging part, is really employee morale, and a cohesive unit. What I find rewarding is the fact that as an organization, we make a huge impact on the lives of the people that we serve and this community as a whole. We help people change their lives around, help them find their path to recovery. And you could see it with parents reuniting with their children, with people staying clean and sober for years, getting jobs, coming back and telling us how well they're doing, and just knowing that you have that positive impact is very, very rewarding.
Mhm. What are some of the different jobs in the field of behavioral health?
There are many different jobs. So people can, like I said, on the substance use side, you can become a prevention counselor, work in the schools. That's how I started. You could work in a residential setting where you're working with people who are living there for 30, 60, 90 days, where it's very more intensive. Outpatient, where you might see 6 different people during a day with different issues. You could then become licensed, where you can kind of move up more into administration and do clinical, where you're providing some of that we'll call clinical supervision. So you're training new people up and coming in the field and giving back in that way. And like I said, and working in administration. On the mental health side, we have case managers and care coordinators who are working with people, trying to get them engaged in services, really linking them and advocating for them, and whether it's in the court system or here in the organization. Again, you can focus on family therapy, you can focus on child therapy, you can focus on older adults, you can focus just with women or just with men, family. So there's many different areas that you could really look at, and see what populations you like to work with and what areas.
Mhm. How does a person progress in the field of behavioral health, and what is the typical career path to take?
Sure. Most people would start with a bachelor's degree in some type of human sciences, psychology, sociology, could be in education, and working, like I said, with a bachelor's degree. You could start there being a prevention counselor, being a case manager, being a care coordinator, kind of learning the field, learning what you're doing, and then starting with some counseling, with some group counseling. The next step would be getting a master's degree in either social work or psychology or marriage and family therapy. And that's when then you'd work more into more intensive cases, doing more individual therapy, and working more with families. And from there, then you would become licensed. And if you're working in the state of Florida, after 2 years postmasters under supervision, you become a licensed therapist, which means then if you wanted to go out on your own and start your own private practice, you could then do that. Prior to that, you're probably working within an organization. So once you become licensed, you can go on private practice. And private practice, you might work with clients who are what we call higher functioning. They're working full-time jobs, and their issues are different than someone who you might see in a community mental health center, who has lower socioeconomic. We serve a lot of homeless, people coming out of jails and prisons, so different population group. So that opens the door for you as someone who's licensed. If you can go on to get your doctorate, you could also do research, become a psychologist and do psychological testing. You could work in the school system. I didn't mention that. I should have. You can work in the school system. You can work in the Veterans Administration. You can work with managed care companies. On the other side, the funders, they hire therapists, licensed therapists, to do their reviews of cases. So there's really a whole gamut. So bachelor's, master's, licensed.
Yeah. Okay. What is the atmosphere of your job and in the organization that you are on the administration for?
We have a great team, so the atmosphere is very positive. It is cohesive. People work together as a team. There is no one person at this organization that is more important than anybody else.
Mhm.
It takes everyone in their job working together to help us succeed. And we recognize that, and we promote that teamwork, and we celebrate successes together, and we help each other out. So it works very well. It's a great atmosphere here.
Mhm. And a few more questions. So,
Sure.
how well did your college experience prepare you for getting into behavioral health?
Uh, it prepared me very well. I went to Tulane University and I studied psychology there. Took a lot of different classes, learning about it. I decided to go right into a master's program after my bachelor's.
Mhm.
One thing I realized early on was if I wanted to get ahead quickly and get on that path, I should jump right into a master's program rather than just waiting. And knowing that, and also talking to other people who had waited after they received their bachelor's, they went to work and it took them a while before they went back, and I didn't want to do that. And again, I received an excellent education there, and again decided to go right into the master's program, which I did right after I graduated with my bachelor's degree.
Mhm. And then my last question is, how do you and your organization plan to combat the effects COVID-19 has had on your community?
We have been providing our services through telehealth, as I'm sure everybody else has. The whole world has gone virtual. And I was talking to someone earlier today saying that we're in a virtual reality, which we really are.
Yeah.
We're between the old normal and whatever the new normal is, in this space in between. And so it's working well for many people. There are some people who still it does not work well for. They
Mhm.
cannot adapt to the new technology. They don't have the resources for that. We have people that we work with here who don't have smartphones, they don't have computers. I talked to someone who doesn't even have an email address. How can you do a Zoom session with someone who doesn't have an email address? You can do it on the phone, but it's not through technology. So what we're doing is ensuring that we can reach people. That's the most important thing. Is if you need the services, we are here for you. We have two 24-hour crisis lines, stand-up crisis lines, with someone answering the phone, a human being, not going to an answering service, 24/7. And that's one thing that we did is made sure that we had the crisis available.
Mhm.
Um, for everyone in the community that's experiencing, depression, anxiety, loss of job, possibly loss of home, everything that's going on. We've had a lot of people relapse recently. Alcohol sales went up 55% during the COVID crisis.
Mhm.
That tells a lot about what people are doing while they're home, self-isolating. So we are here for the community to be a resource for recovery, to be a resource for crisis. We will go out and meet you in the community
Mhm.
to help you resolve the crisis. We want to make sure that you know that you're not alone, that we are here to help you and to
Mhm.
hold your hand through this time, and that we are going to be here for a long time. And again, for the community, that we've reached out to our other community partners and said, if you see someone, someone, send them our way. We want to be here for you.
Mhm. Okay. Those are all the questions I have for you today, and thank you so much for meeting with me. It was really nice to hear about this, the behavioral health world from an administrative point of view.
Well, thank you, Olivia, and I'm glad that that you have reached out to me. It's a very important topic, especially
Mhm.
nowadays.
Yeah.
And it is. We will see more people in crisis. There are community agencies like mine all over this country, and there are many people out there who are willing to help 24/7. And it's important that people know that. So,
Mhm.
thank you so much.
Yeah. Have a nice rest of your day.